Commissioner Spies, we're now at paragraph 66, and we are back to the date of around November 2023. If you could just briefly deal with the contents of 66 and 67.
In the early May, because I'm the Deputy Chief Auxiliary and Support Services and HR falls under me, in the beginning of May, I issued a memorandum to the Chief of Police to state that Commissioner Mazolo's fixed-term contract will end November 2023, and we must initiate the process to start with HR to fill the position because it takes long to fill positions. And I informed the Chief of Police. Subsequently, the Chief of Police sent that same through to HR to start the process. In the middle of that period, here by August, September, I don't know the exact date there was an attempt from HR to extend Commissioner Mazolo's contract from 30 November 23 when it would end. They attempted to extend his contract for a longer period, which the Chief of Police then issued a letter to them saying he objected to that and they should proceed with the process to fill it. And then suddenly, the first week of December, Brigadier Mkonasi was appointed as the Deputy Chief of Police, Deputy Commissioner in the place of Mr. Mazolo, who then retired and went on pension and wasn't employed anymore. This is very strange, and the reason I say it's very strange is that the Chief of Police, in terms of Section 64, appoint you and confer the rank upon you. In my whole career, and I've been in every single rank from constable right up to where I am now, every time when I've been promoted, the Chief of Police, together with the deputies, would confer the rank. It's a small, intimate ceremony where the Chief will actually take off. On the one side, the Chief will take off your rank insignia and then place the new rank insignia on top of, and then on the other side, the other deputies would do it, and if the Chief alone there. So this conferment of rank is a formal ceremony where there's then a picture stake and it's released, a media release, and everything is done. This was never done. I, as the Deputy Chief, Senior Deputy Chief by then, because I'm already in that post, we saw and heard Commissioner Mkonasi when we see pictures of him and when we see on roadblocks and that. And it is something which, and I don't know if I should mention it, about the way he wears his ranks, which it's a joke in the fraternity.
Before you do so, you state at paragraph 67, you have testified to the fact that the Chief of Police, in this instance Chief Mapie, did not confer on him as a standard protocol.
Correct.
The ranks.
Correct.
Then you say, Brigadier Mkwanazi reportedly went directly to the stores to obtain his new rank insignia himself.
Correct.
Can you talk to that?
The process normally would be, because I'm in charge of the stores as well, so if there's any conferment of rank, the Chief of Police will contact me directly, or his staff officer, Colonel Du Plessis, will contact me and says, we're going to do a ceremony tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Can you please arrange that the following 15 people were appointed? Can you please make sure that the stores make provision of the ranks? Because it's not only the insignia, it's insignia, georgettes, and a cap. Because as you go higher in the rank, your rank is depicted on the peak of your cap as well. So the Chief's office would then notify me to say there's going to be a conferment ceremony the next morning at 9 o'clock. And can you please make sure that the stores pack the ranks and everything together already? And I would then instruct the stores, bring it to my office, and then I would go the next morning to the conferment ceremony and I will bring the actual rank. Sometimes I get surprised where we're already in the meeting and the Chief would say, can we please arrange it immediately because there isn't other time? But I will then contact the stores and say, bring the ranks and everything to me now. And we will then have this conferment ceremony. However, with him it didn't happen that way. He went directly to the stores and he forcefully told the staff, who's clerks, here's my appointment letter, I've been appointed, give me my ranks. He hasn't gone through the conferment process at all.
And you did make the point earlier that to date he wears his uniform insignia incorrectly.
Correct.
You and us have had that conversation and you have tried to explain, and it's been quite a long process to understand. So perhaps to assist the commissioners and spare them the torture, we have obtained pictures that are publicly available. We're going to put up the picture of Chief Mapie with his ranks. So if you could talk us through the insignia and the ranks,
Correct, Commissioners.
And confirm whether Chief Mapia is wearing his correctly. And if they are correct, what must face where? Thank you.
The rank insignia on Commissioners Mapia's shoulders is indicating, for instance, two what we will call castles, but it is to align it with what the South African Police Service and Defence Force use. But it is a laurel leaves, and he wears 3 of those to donate his rank as the Chief of Police, and then he's got 2 swords and a sheath on the edge of the rank. So that sword must always point to the front. And the reason for that, there's symbolic behind it. There's even a government gazette that actually explains the depiction of this rank and what it looks like. That sword must show to the front because you are defending and attacking crime and defending yourself. If it shows to the back, it means you're a backstabber. That is what the rank is, that what we think immediately. If I look at General Masamola as the National Police Commissioner and he wears his rank wrong way around, in my mind I will immediately think, but it will never happen. It's when you are at that rank level, in the SAPS it will be Major General, in the Defence Force it will be Brigadier General, but Major General, Lieutenant General, and then General. Your swords will always show to the front. So there is a left and a right side if you put uniform on. It's like a left and a right shoe. And when you assemble your uniform, that's the first thing you look at, is to your short swords must go to the front because you are attacking crime and you are defending yourself. And when it goes to the back, you swapped it around and you become a backstabber.
Okay, now we understand. And I guess the commissioners can assume for the moment that you wear yours the same way as Chief Mapia.
I have a picture of me in uniform, or I can appear in uniform tomorrow morning.
Okay, we understand how they ought to be worn. Now, we found 2 random pictures of Brigadier Mkwanazi with his. And if then you can contrast that with what we've come to understand based on your testimony. We'll just put them up quickly.
Correct. The swords on the left.
We're going to try and enlarge that picture.
Yeah, it's correct. It's swapped the wrong way around. And it's actually embarrassment, especially for me. I'm a 43-year career policeman working in this environment. At every forum, my current chief actually refers, every time when she sits next to him at meetings, she informs him, swap your rank around, it's wrong. You're wearing it the wrong way. So he's been reprimanded by the other chiefs to say, fix your rank, it's an embarrassment. And it just is wrong the whole time. He doesn't know which side must go to which side.
So,
sorry, can we firstly can we just confirm that is Brigadier Mkwanazi? Let's not take it for granted that the rest of us
indeed
know.
so.
It's Deputy Commissioner Mkwanazi.
Deputy Commissioner, I do apologize.
Yes, a brigadier rank will have a castle and 3 stars. That rank is a Deputy Commissioner rank.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is it correct to assume that the process of conferring the rank requires the Chief of Police to attach to the uniform the actual insignia and georgette, as you call them?
Correct, Commissioners.
And from that you get to learn that this is how they are to be worn.
Correct.
And we know the sword is facing backwards, you say, and that's not how it's supposed to be worn. From Chief Mapia, they appear to be facing forward.
Correct. It should be, he's wearing the epaulets on the wrong shoulders. That's why it turns around, because it's a mirror image of one another. If he swaps it around, the swords will show to the front.
Now, next to the swords, what is it? You call it the insignia, the 2?
It's 2 castles.
Yes.
And a sword. That denotes the level of a general. So if it's Major General in the South African Police Service, it's 2 castles and a sword and a sheath. With us, it's a Deputy Municipal Police Commissioner with 2 castles and a sword and a sheath. The Chief himself will then have 3 castles and a sword and a sheath. Because in terms of equivalence in ranking with the South African Police Service, the chief of police is equivalent to like a lieutenant general because he reports operationally to the National Police Commissioner, the similar as provincial police commissioners and lieutenant generals who are wearing then 3 castles and a sword and a sheath.
Okay, we have dealt with the sword and the sheath, is it you call?
Yeah, there's like a little baton.
Yes. Now you reference the castles. Are they facing the right way here in the picture that we see?
Castles, the rank in terms of the castles and the open end of the laurel leaves or the olive leaves must show towards his shoulder, but the insignia must swap around. So the left shoulder must go to the right shoulder and the right shoulder must go to the left shoulder. The moment you swap your insignia around, they will actually turn around and face to the front again.
Okay. Huh. I think that was an easier explanation through the use of pictures.
I thought there was another picture that...
There is, but on consideration, I don't think, please swap to that. It's not as visible as the one we projected, but we will, and you will see. Thanks, no, we'll very quickly. These were obtained publicly, so it was what was available. It's on Commissioner Khumalo. I don't know if...
If anybody raises copyright issues, you are on your own, Mr.
Yes, I guess I'll have to deal with copyright issues in the fullness of time. They're publicly available. And I think it's quite in order for Brigadier Mkhwanazi to state that he's not the person indicated in these pictures, and I'll have to accept it from him because we took them from the public arena.
The callers,
Commissioners, that is called Georgette. It's the same rank, it's just in a miniature version, because when I'm, for instance, a tall person, so if I stand, then people cannot see directly my epaulettes and my rank. So from the front, when you face someone, you can see Georgette. The same with my peak cap. If you look at the peak cap, there will be 3 branches of laurel leaves. And when you are a deputy commissioner or a commissioner, the 3 leaves will have a little flower at the top as well. So that is denoting rank. When we are walking between one another and I don't know you from anywhere, if by looking at that, I can immediately see your rank. The Georgette is easier to fit to your collar because the Georgette has got a physical shape and your collar has got a triangle as well. And your swords must show away from your neck, again to attack and defend and not cut your own neck. It's symbolic into that, so that you don't become suicidal on your own and cut your own neck with your own rank.
are you saying in this photo?
The Georgette is correct, and his rank on the epaulette is completely wrong.
Oh.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. Brigadier Spies, that would then lead us to your next topic, which is that you have headed External Community Liaison Unit, CLU, and irregular appointments/promotions. You start this at paragraph 68.
Correct. And to state that at this stage of what we found everything so far and what I've then experienced is that my firm belief was that this is a criminal enterprise within the municipal police. There's a core group of officers, specifically within the specialized services, that they're involved in serious crimes, based on the fingerprint records, based on where they are, based on the fact that they don't want to do this. And then we have a formal structure in a unit called CLU, Community Liaison Unit. But in this unit itself, and this unit was, at that stage, it was a superintendent, Dion Singh. It was in 2015 when this incident took place. We only discovered it in 2024. This is a group of rogue civilians that reported to Singh and Mkhwanazi. They had posted, so initially they approached the chief's office, which was Chief Mapie, and they asked that they want to come to him, they want jobs because they've been offered jobs and they want their as wardens. And then the chief wasn't in the office and he referred them telephonically to go to my staff officer, Colonel Du Plessis, and deal with them. Colonel Du Plessis then said to them, well, I can listen to your story, but bring me evidence. Otherwise, it's just stories that you're telling me. And they went away and they came back at a later stage presenting evidence to Colonel du Plessis. I've attached that evidence as well. These officers, or not officers, these civilians were working together with Singh and Mkonazi, signing on in our occurrence books, coming on duty. They were working, they showed pictures and newspaper clippings where they were in council as Sergeant of Arms. Sergeant of Arms is there's not supposed to go into council. It's like Parliament, firearms or police officers may not enter. There's a group of security which is called Sergeant at Arms, which manage the security within the councillors if there's a ruction between politicians or councillors that deal with it. They showed us pictures that they included to say that here they are in uniform, which is a white shirt, black tie and black pants, in council as Sergeant of Arms. But they've never been employed by us. They showed us their newspaper clippings where they are on the pictures together with our officers. They are actually part of arresting people. They use words like intelligence gathering, which is illegal. We don't have the power to do intelligence gathering. They even showed us, never mind these photos of the OBs and everything, they even showed operational plans where they are included into operational plans of working with us and that. And their claim, what they then state with all of this evidence, is that some of them have been employed as wardens, but this group have not been employed and they're upset because they haven't been employed. So we state to them, well, it's the first time we hear about it. It's the first time we have evidence about it. We will elevate it then to the Chief of Police and that we can deal with it and answer you formally. Colonel du Plessis then went ahead and he prepared a draft letter to corporate legal on behalf of the Chief of Police, because he's still the staff officer, even though Chief Mapierre is not there. He's still the staff officer to the Chief's office. He then prepared this and he submitted all this evidence together with this draft letter to Commissioner Mkonazi's office, because he's the acting Chief of Police. And we didn't hear anything thereafter again. The group of officers, or these people, came at a later stage back to us and say, well, we're not helping them, we're not assisting them, they're now going to the public protector. They did go to the public protector, and then we just heard that the public protector didn't entertain them because the public protector gave them a reason that it's out of timeline, because the public protector can only deal with up to 3 years matters, and this already took place in 2015. So it's a 100% rogue process where this Singh and Mkonazi was involved with at that stage, where they actually made use of private individuals to assist them in this process.
Commissioner Spies, at annexures RS 28 and RS 28 Roman 2, RS 28 Roman 1 and RS 28 Roman 2, which you refer to at paragraph 70 of your statement, you say these are copies of official Ekurhuleni Metro Police occurrence books that you have attached, showing entries in the occurrence books. I would like to refer us to the first, to assist us to read these documents at page 159. It's got a date at the top, Friday 2015-08-07. And the first entry is duty on. The following members report on duty as follows. Then it lists some names. And that seems to be the pattern that it follows. And midway that page, against the date 2208 at 1312, it's report out. It mentions some people there, 3, and it says out to Katlehong and Zonkizizwe. Are you suggesting that this is a record keeping of the reporting, quote unquote, on duty of these SLU members and their deployment into the community?
Correct. The 8 o'clock duty on, those are members. The MV Kali, SW Ngwenya, Tungwa, Maziba, and Ngogala is Metro Police members. But the 9 o'clock entry is the following volunteers joined the unit. TM, Makubalo, Stanley, Matetwa, Simuwada, Zuma, Malangu, and Seloane. So those are volunteers. The first group of officers is officers, and the second entry is that it's volunteers. And,
okay.
And it's dated then, the top of the page is an occurrence book, and it's Friday, the 7th of August, 2015.
And that pattern appears to repeat throughout the successive pages. At page 60, at 0800, at 20th of August, It says duty on, the following members report on duty as follows, and it lists
Correct.
members. Then the next entry, report entry, says the following volunteers joined the unit.
Correct, Commissioner.
Then there is a report out of some of these persons going to Kealeboga and Cikizwa, and at 1550, same page, at 160, it says report back, then duty off, report off, duty, all in order.
Correct, Commissioner.
So in this paragraph, is this what you are referencing to say these civilians joined EMPD members in the execution of official police duties?
Correct, Commissioners.
Do you know what their role specifically was when they were so quote-unquote deployed?
We obviously never knew about them. We only heard of this in 2024 when they came to complain that we must actually give them jobs as wardens. We don't know what their roles are, but when they discussed it with us and they explained to us in stating that Dion Singh and Mkonasi and them and Kali, they were running them and they were giving them instructions and they assisted. They would do intelligence gathering. There's even operational plans that was submitted. I just don't know exactly where the operational plan is, but it was attached as well. There's operational plans where it states intelligence gathering. It is photos where they were working as next to officers where there's arrest in the newspapers. It says people were arrested for drug dealing, people were arrested for crimes that was committed, and they show us pictures of newspapers where they were in newspapers and that. So they had no formal function. There's no way. We don't even have a volunteer policy, which makes it more critical as well. Many, many years ago, we attempted the process of creating a program where we can appoint volunteer, a reservist concept, similar as what the South African Police Service have reservists. And it was made clear by us, by the South African Legal Services, is that the South African Police Service Act does not make provision that we can actually start a reservist program. So we cannot have, at this moment in time, a reservist or volunteer municipal police services. We can have reservist traffic officers, or we can have reservist wardens, but we can never have a reservist municipal police officer because the Act doesn't make provision for it at all.
Is it not unfair, Commissioner, to refer to them as rogue civilians? If everything that they were doing because Superintendent Singh or Brigadier Mkhwanazi had invited them, and they were gathering intelligence and assisting EMPD because they were either invited or allowed to do this. Is it fair to refer to them as rogue?
Commissioner, if a policeman do a criminal deed, in terms of the National Intelligence Act, there are only 3 intelligence agencies, which is SSA, military defense, or military intelligence, and crime intelligence. No one else in this country may gather intelligence at all. Doesn't matter who you are. So even I, as a police officer, cannot gather intelligence. And if I go and I give instruction to a civilian to gather intelligence and I involved in that trade, I am rogue, and everyone with me is also rogue. So maybe they are innocent rogue. I don't know if that's a concept that exists.
Are they rogue by association then?
They are definitely rogue by association. I don't think they were, maybe they were most probably extremely positive because they are volunteers and they are doing this to shine and they're going to be appointed eventually as officers. So from their perspective, I wouldn't blame them for what they're doing and thinking. But their actions, and I refer to them as rogue because they're not appointed, they don't have powers. They are being abused by these officers within our environment.
Commissioner, do you know if or whether these people, these civilians, received anything from the city, a stipend, some payments?
They never received anything formally.
Okay.
And you said they wore uniforms. Sorry, Constable. You said they wore uniforms. Where did they get those?
The uniform they wore in some of the newspaper clippings and photos was the Sergeant at Arms uniform, which is a white shirt, a black tie, black pants. Most probably they have it in their own cupboards. I don't know where they got, but it's not that we issue the sergeant of arm with uniforms. They're not in the Metro Police. They report to the political speakers, the chief whip. It's in that environment where they are protecting the council chambers.
Why do you call their uniform sergeant at arms uniform? Are you suggesting it looks like that uniform, or it is specifically sergeant at arms uniform? And if so, where would they have obtained the EMPD sergeant at arms uniform, if you know?
The sergeant at arms, the clipping as well, show them in the council chambers during a council meeting, and the newspaper article stated sergeant at arms. And the sergeant at arms dress code that they use is a white shirt, black tie, black pants when they are working in council itself during the council meetings.
Now, for those members who are deployed as sergeant at arms formally within council area and offices, would they be wearing similar uniforms?
Correct. The genuine sergeant at arms will wear that color uniform.
You state at your paragraph 71 that in 2024 they approached Commissioner Mapie's office and Colonel Duplessis requested they submit their evidence. They complied, and Colonel Duplessis then drafted a letter to the head of legal, Bihari, on behalf of acting chief Julius Mkwanazi, as Chief Mapie was suspended. The complaint and evidence was sent and received by Julius Mkwanazi's office, but no action has been taken to date. So you don't have that evidence that you referenced there was not submitted to you.
Correct. It wasn't submitted. When they approached Colonel Duplessis to provide the evidence to him, Colonel Duplessis phoned me and said to me, what must he do with this? Because the chief is suspended, he doesn't know what to do with this, because it's a very serious complaint that, yes, officers that were working for us, but they're demanding that we appoint them. My suggestion to him was, draft a letter on behalf of the chief to legal, so that it can go to Advocate Kemi Bihari's office, so they can give a legal opinion on what is the process to be followed at the back end. And Colonel Duplessis then just reported back to me to say it was submitted to Mkwanazi's office, and he's got proof that it was signed for, because he submitted the whole evidence back, plus the draft letter to his office. But I don't know what happened thereafter again with it.
So Brigadier Mkwanazi is most likely the person to turn to assist us with what was submitted by these SCLUs.
He's now Commissioner Mkwanazi.
Now, I do apologize, Commissioner Mkwanazi. Okay, we shall do so. Before we leave this topic, I see that the OBs seem to be dated, it's around 2015 and then 2017, is that correct?
Correct, Commissioners.
And according to you, these are irregularities within the EMPD, or the way?
Correct, Commissioner. In our official, the occurrence book is an extremely official book. It is, it's the heartbeat of any police station, any unit. Anything that takes place, anything that happens must be recorded in an OB.
Okay.
Irrespective of which police station you are. So OB reflects the heartbeat. It's what's happened at that specific unit or that, and it's numbered and it's serialized, and civilians will not sign on and off in our official books. So the fact that they sign on there, it makes it as if it's a formal appointed, and it's a correct procedure, everything.
Now, if you say this is irregular, and it seems to have spanned at least 2015, 2017, that way you have given, and now in terms of paragraph 71, we know that they approached the office of Commissioner Mapie in as late as 2024. And you call all this, or their engagement irregular. Are there any other irregularities that you are aware over your 33-year service at Ekurhuleni? Particularly in your last post as Commissioner, I think, is it Auxiliary Services? And
Commissioner, in this same, and this is now long after it, but in the same period, 2015, when this took place, a very strange incident took place where our fleet manager, Chris Stein, he has been mentioned already, he contacted me one day and he said to me, on the vehicle tracking systems that we have, one of our vehicles is at the Botswana gate at Gaborone. do I know about it and what must he do about it? And I'm like, dude, it's not possible. Our cars can't be in Botswana. Switch the vehicle off. So there's a remote capability where you can switch the vehicle off. So I instructed Chris, I said, Chris, we'll get to it, switch the vehicle off and start the recovery process to actually get a breakdown and go fetch our vehicle. It must be a stolen vehicle. We cannot have Ekurhuleni police vehicles at Botswana Gate. If it happens, it has happened in the past that we went to other countries, for instance to Swaziland, but then it's a formal, approved by council process where it's a conference or something that we go with vehicles to it. And Chris then said, okay, we'll switch the vehicle off. He phoned me back about an hour later and he says, he's in big trouble now. I said, why? He said he was just now phoned by the then chief of police that he must switch this vehicle on and this vehicle will turn around and come back to us and we must leave this vehicle alone. He has sent the officer and the officer is on official business. So we never discovered why and what happened, but there was question marks about this whole process of why did the car go, one of our vehicles go to Botswana and it came back. We never even know if it went through the border or not. We just know that this incident happened where I instructed, switch the vehicle off and recover it. And then I got told an hour later, I was overridden. The then chief of police stated to Christine, leave the vehicle alone, the vehicle will come back and you must leave it alone. So it's strange incidents like that that took place that makes it. There's even other incidents when Chief Robert McBride was our chief of police, he phoned me one Friday afternoon and he said to me, I must immediately look at the registration number because he is driving in his private vehicle on the R59 and he just went into the Free State and one of our vehicles is driving in front of him. He wants to know what the vehicle is doing there. So what then happened was that he was on his way to another venue. So we looked at the vehicle and also this vehicle went to Parys in the Free State. And the Saturday afternoon, the vehicle a breakdown unit was sent from us to the vehicle where he's standing in Parys. And we actually fetched the vehicle and collected and bring it back. This vehicle was assigned to Vosloorus police station, to our precinct. And then on that Sunday, the officer who used the vehicle, he came back and he discovered the vehicle is now missing from his house. And he came back and trying to report the vehicle as stolen at Vosloorus, but then his supervisors accosted him and he was disciplined steps taken against him because he used the vehicle to go home in Parys where he stays over the weekend and came back. So there is strange incidents that took place. I have, for instance, because I'm in charge of the fine admin municipal courts, all the fines that comes to traffic vehicles belonging to Ekurhuleni Metro Police would go to the proxy. Doesn't matter where in the country it takes place. And the proxy will then have to deal with it. And he will send it to me to say, fine administration, yes, fines, can you please look at it and deal with it in that manner. And that is when I noticed there's for instance, on Friday evenings, vehicles from Ekurhuleni Metro Police that go through the Drakensberg on the N3. And then they get speed fines because the Drakensberg area, as you go through it, is notorious for being speed fines. We even had speed fines at the Toitskloof Tunnel, which is close to Cape Town. So there was a general misuse and abuse of vehicles when we don't know where vehicles are traveling in the country. And that's why tracking systems and everything was installed into vehicles to make sure that we know where our vehicles are. So there is strange things that has happened in all the years there.
Now, I'm particularly interested in this either attempt or actual crossover into another country, Botswana, the incident that you referenced. Would there be an official record of that incident where the vehicle actually is recorded as having crossed the border into Botswana, if that record were to be sought?
Not with us, but it could be that Customs or SARS will actually have records of cross-border crossings. But this already happened in 2015. So
no, I'm saying on the system, would the system be able to track that vehicle? You said that you ordered that the tracking system be shut down and therefore it's not able to move.
I don't think, Commissioners, it will be possible anymore because the city of Ekurhuleni changed like every 2 years their tracking companies, and this already happened in 2015.
Yes.
It is too late to track it, but Christine could be summoned that he can speak of what I said now about him and what he conferred to me.
And on what authority did you direct or order that the tracker be initiated so that the vehicle is immobile?
In 2015, Chief Mapie was appointed as the Chief of Police. He was previously the Director in charge of logistics. At that stage, when he was appointed in 2015 May, I was appointed to act in his vacant post because he was appointed as the Chief of Police. So I was the Director in charge of logistics. And at that stage, when it took place, the fleet and the management of the fleet was falling under me as the Metro Police section.
And I won't say currently, I guess, up until you retired in February 24, who was responsible for logistics and fleet?
I was till my appointment in 22, I was the Director. And at that stage, when I was promoted, there was a Brigadier van der Merwe appointed as the head of logistics. So I was promoted in the same leg, but as a divisional head. And then my position that went vacant and the logistics position that went vacant where I was acting in, Brigadier van der Merwe was appointed in that position.
So if the Commission would like to pursue this matter, it's Brigadier van der Merwe that, and Chris Steyn that perhaps the Commission should consider having a conversation with.
Correct.
Thank you.
You said, Commissioner, you do undertake official trips to other countries, and you gave the example of Eswatini. In those instances, that is the official instances, what entries, if any, are made in the EMPD records?
Commissioner, what will happen is when we went to, at that stage it was still Swaziland, but Eswatini now. When we went there, it was as a group officially invited by the Royal Swazi Police to come and do a presentation to them on municipal policing, because they were looking at the same concepts of introducing it as well. And we had to obtain council approval. So there was a council item, council approval, because we would be outside our area of jurisdiction. But the decision was made that we would use the majority of the senior officers get travel allowance vehicles, so we use private vehicles. So the travel to Swaziland or Eswatini at that stage was done with my private vehicle. I traveled with it. I was the driver, Chief McBride, and Deputy Chief Ash Budu was then together with me in my vehicle, and we had one other vehicle as well, which was a private vehicle that we used to travel to it. But the council resolved, and the council gives you permission to actually go to attend to this formal function and conference in the other country. It's the only time that it happened officially that we went to one of our neighboring countries. Obviously when we go to any other country, we would use flights to get to those countries to have that, and there won't be travel or anything like that or vehicles involved.
Thank you.
Commissioner, as at the time before you retired, was the policy of the city that vehicles must have a tracker? Was that the requirement in respect of all vehicles?
Correct, Commissioner. There's a requirement that all council vehicles must be fitted with a vehicle management system, which includes the capability to track the vehicle as well.
So if that is so, the vehicles that we saw yesterday in the Meaton operation, I know your evidence was there's no entry because it was an unlawful operation, but if the vehicles are fitted with trackers, if all city vehicles are fitted with trackers, it should be possible to track the movements of those vehicles.
It's correct, Commissioner, but that specific vehicle of Kershaw Stolz, for instance, when she was arrested at the Smokes and Kings, IPIT and ourselves then looked at the vehicle as well afterwards. And when we looked at the vehicle, the tracker system was cut and it was disabled in her vehicle. So there's a huge proportion of their vehicles of specialized service that the tracker system is not working at all. Yes. Every year there's annual audits done where we actually look at which vehicles we cannot find on the tracking system, and we try to bring them in and have them tracked again. The city itself in the past, they've always used a service provider to provide this system, be it a company like C-Track or Tracker or whoever it is with that. But if a few years, I don't know the exact date, the city decided to do it in-house. They developed an in-house system, and they buy the instruments that go into the vehicle or the modem, and they would install it themselves. But there's a large amount of vehicles that either the tracker doesn't work, or it's non-functional, or it's been disabled by the officers.
So it's quite possible, for example, on your explanation, that the vehicles that were donated and then given back to KET VIP, you may not be able to track them. There may not be a record
No,
of their
there's
movement at all.
they were definitely not part of the tracking system at all. It takes a very long administrative process to actually enable and install and get the systems installed into the vehicle system. They were for a very short period on our name. They were registered and then very quickly thereafter they were deregistered when this matter came to light.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner. We then turn to the next subject, appointments and promotions, Commissioner Spies. And this starts at paragraph 72. If you could summarize what you set out there and the issues you raise or complaints regarding appointments and promotions. Just to let you know that your annexure RS 29, which you referenced at 73, you say it's a picture of the emails and a copy of the interview questions and answers. You see that part at paragraph 73.
Yes.
Okay, there you didn't provide the actual question and answers that you referenced there as part of that annexure 29. But you can speak to the issues and we will try and update the files to include that question and answer document.
Correct. I have the actual emails.
Okay. Then
So it's part of that. It's maybe just not printed because it start off with the actual screenshot and then it lists the mails as attachments later on.
I just thought I should bring it to your attention because we'll not be able to turn to it as it's not on record. But otherwise you can deal with your evidence from paragraph 72 and you raise the issues that you wanted to.
As stated, part of my function as the Deputy Chief Auxiliary and Support Services was the HR liaison portion that fell under me, which was then managed by Colonel Wanda van Rooyen. And in 2024 February, they started the process where Colonel van Rooyen approached me and said she doesn't know what's going on, but suddenly there's Commissioner Mkwanasi and Stella Jukazi is running with the appointment process. There's meetings with HR and they are busy with appointing a huge amount of people that we don't know anything about the process. So she actually then started to say, but she declines to be involved in this process because she doesn't know who's dealing with it and she's not going to assist with anything in that. But the process was run primarily by Stella Jukazi. She was a senior manager in licensing, which is the civilian side of us, licensing dealing with e-NATIS, registration of vehicles and drivers and vehicle licenses. So she got promoted by Julius Mkwanasi in this flurry where about 55 plus, initially it was 50, but there's more people that's been appointed in that specific period. And it made highlights of her because she's a civilian that doesn't have, according to us, the qualifications to be appointed as a municipal police officer. However, she was appointed as a municipal police officer, as a brigadier from a civilian position. And after the interview, she scored very well in the interviews. So after the interviews, she was the successful candidate, and Chief Mapie was in that period, for a short period, he was back at the office. And he then stated, because based on his CV, he wrote a letter and he issued it to Kasheka from HR to say, we cannot appoint the recommended candidate because she doesn't comply with the minimum qualifications. And he issued that letter to her to state she doesn't do it. However, when he was suspended...
Before you move on, that letter is Annexure RS 31 to your statement to confirm, and it's at page 391, if you could just have regard to that. Is that the letter that you say Chief Mapie wrote to Mr. Sheka regarding the lady's appointment?
Correct. On the 15th of July is when he sent that based on her CV and based on the fact that we know that she hasn't got this qualification that is necessary to be appointed. And when we speak about this qualification, in terms of Regulation 11, there is a few requirements that you must have, but if you only speak about the requirements specifically to municipal police officers, that you must have a traffic officer diploma, That's the one qualification. And you must have a law enforcement skills program certificate, which is the policing portion of it. And the law enforcement skills program, that certificate portion originated from the national standards on training, which the National Police Commission in 1999 has already published, where you state that when you establish a municipal police, in the first 12 months, which ended in 31 October 2023, officers that has already been in the trade, meaning officers like me that was a traffic officer from a previous traffic department, those officers must complete what we call a bridging course, which was a 14-day course to do the policing subjects. And this was prior to SAQA or the Qualifications Authority or QCTO or anything like that. This was in the 1999s already where this was published. That bridging course has eventually become a formal course registered as under the SAQA and the QCTO as a qualification. And it's now called the LESP, the Law Enforcement Skills Program. So initial officers in 2002, when we were converted into a municipal police, that already appointed officers just did the bridging course. All officers thereafter did the full LESP course. And we keep record of this because we have two assessment authorities over us. The RTMC, Road Traffic Management Corporation, they're the assessment body for the traffic diploma because our academy is accredited to give it, or train officers, and they assess us then to make sure that we comply with their requirements to issue a traffic diploma. And the South African Police Service is the assessment body for the LESP because it's their course, and they assess us on that. We therefore keep very strict control over which officers and people we train on these courses because we're going to issue the certificates at the end of the day, and we have to then account for who was trained. So Mrs. Cikizwa has never done this course. She's in licensing, she's got nothing to do with Metro Police, she's never been in the Metro Police environment. According to her own CV and career, she started off as a traffic officer in the provincial fraternity based at Heidelberg. After her stint as a traffic officer, provincial inspector at Gauteng Community Safety, she then got employed by the City of Ekurhuleni in licensing. And she was a licensing officer dealing with, eventually senior manager dealing with registration of vehicles and driver's license. She has never been in a police environment at all. So all of us know it, and everyone complained about it. And that's why Chief Mapie then issued an instruction that to Kasheka to say, this post must be re-advertised and restart because it's an irregular appointment.
Commissioner, just explain again her involvement with the provincial what?
She was, from her career, she do have a traffic officer diploma because she did it at Boekenhuiskloof when it was a traffic college, and she was appointed by the then Gauteng Community Safety Traffic Department, which is the provincial traffic department, and she was based in Heidelberg.
As what?
As a traffic officer, but it's with the province they would call them provincial inspectors.
And so, why is that not relevant experience for this purpose?
So she complies with half. She has the traffic officer diploma and she is a registered traffic officer. So she complies with half of the qualifications. The requirements is that you must have both qualifications to be a municipal police. You cannot just have half, you must have both. Over and above that, the requirement also go further to say that you must have at least 4 years senior management experience. So she was a junior traffic officer. There's no experience there in the 2000s, 2002, and then her whole career thereafter was in licensing. So she doesn't have any experience in any municipal police department in law enforcement at a management level at all. But it goes about the qualification. She's unqualified. There is a strange possibility that you can be appointed without complying with qualifications, with a riding clause to say that within a 6 months or a 12-month period you must obtain these qualifications. People can jippo the system in that method, but this didn't even happen in that manner.
The experience requirement, was that in the advert?
That was in the advert.
Okay.
So then Chief Mapie gets suspended, and immediately thereafter, in the very first week when Commissioner Mkonasi is now acting as the acting Chief of Police, he issued a letter to Kasheka as well to say, no, proceed with this appointment because she has been vetted qualifications and it's confirmed hereby that she complies with all the qualifications. And he then issues a letter to state this to this effect. This is on page, it is annexure RS32, page 392, where Commissioner Mkwanasi, then as the Acting Chief of Police on the 6th of August 2024, he wrote this letter to say, with the heading of report on the qualifications of the recommended candidate for the Director Fines Administration position of EMPD. And this position, Fines Administration Director, this is my previous position before I was, from 2015, I was appointed in this, from 2011, December, I was appointed in this position until 1 August 2022. This is my vacant post. When I was promoted, she actually got appointed in my vacant post. And then it states on the memo, it says, this memo serves to confirm the qualifications and experience of Ms. S.F.V. Cikizwa with a PAN number, who possesses the following as submitted and verified by Bankobi Consulting, who are the service provider appointed by the city for vetting of qualifications and human resources. And then he lists 8 qualifications, which is matric, the National Diploma in Municipal Administration, a BTEC degree in Public Management, the Traffic Officer Diploma, that is the one that counts, infrastructure number. Then it doesn't matter about the rest, it's examiner for motor vehicle and examiner for driver's license, and a Trafman overload control, and quality and customer relations management. And then he says, attach find the documents, and he states Mrs. Cikizwa's records were verified on the following requirements, crucial for the job post Director Fine Admin. Driver's license is valid, no criminal or illicit activity recorded. And then he says a vast number of years and experience in law enforcement, senior management, and working in logistics section. So this is fine administration. It's got nothing to do with logistics. And this confirmation serves as a record of the department's endorsement of these qualifications, which meet the requirements for appointment. And please note that this confirmation is consistent with the department's previous recommendations and appointment of candidates with similar qualifications. And if required, further information or clarification, please do not hesitate to contact my office.
So, Commissioner, in summary, this lady applied for a specific job, Director Fine Administration.
Correct.
Following some process, she then was the recommended candidate.
Correct.
And you refer us to Annexure RS32. On the 15th of July 2024, Chief Mapieye writes a letter to El Kasheka, Head of Human Resources, and states, following the interviews that took place on the 8th of July 24, take note that I have perused the advert and the CV of the recommended candidate. I found out that the recommended candidate does not have a Metro Police diploma, which is a key requirement. I propose that this position be re-advertised. Attached, please find the advert. You see that?
Correct.
That is on the 15th of July. Now, the letter you just read is dated the 5th of August. You annex it as RS32, and this is under the hand of J.D. Mkwanasi, Acting Chief of Police. 2 weeks later, thereabouts, Acting Chief of Police, J.D. Mkwanasi, looking at the same documents, holds a different view and then says she qualifies.
Correct, Commissioner.
Was she then appointed after this letter of Commissioner Mkwanasi, or what happened? Do you know?
She was appointed as the Director of Fine Administration, a Brigadier. Even though she reports directly to me in that position as a Deputy Chief, I haven't seen her at all. She hasn't been introduced to me. I haven't seen her. I saw her approximately a month later when she was already in uniform, wearing field dress uniform, and everything about the appointment and everything that happens thereafter, because it then came to light, people started sending us information to me where they, for instance, sent email correspondence the week before the actual interviews where Mrs. Cikizwa was. This email correspondence was between Mrs. Cikizwa and Ntombi Radebe from HR. HR corporate that dealing with the admin process around the advertisements and the interviews. So this Stella Cikizwa sent to Ntombi Radebe a document which lists questions and answers for the proposed position to be done. And then a few days later, she sent another document with corrections to say this is the final document, a week before the interview. So Stella Cikizwa actually prepared her own questions, her own answers. She sent it to Ntombi Radebe, and those questions and answers is then asked in the interview. That's over and above the qualifications.
Now, on the qualifications, the Chief of Police, Chief Mapie, had taken issue with the fact that she didn't appear to have a Metro Police diploma and said it's a key requirement. Acting Chief of Police Mkhwanazi does not address that specific qualification in his letter of the 5th of August addressed to Ms. Linda Klasheka at HOD of HR. Is that correct?
Correct. He doesn't mention that qualification at all there because he knows she doesn't have it.
Yes. And then at your paragraph 74 of the statement, you say the same candidate is currently not in possession of the required law enforcement skills program, in parenthesis LESP qualification. She has applied to the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Academy to be enrolled in the next training cycle, January to March 2026. Do you see that?
That's correct.
Now you reference here the law enforcement skills program qualification. Is it the same as what Chief Mapie in his letter, your annexure RS 32 refers to as the Metro Police Diploma? Is it the same thing?
Correct. The LESP is considered, when we speak about it, we speak about the Metro Police Diploma, but it's a law enforcement skills program certificate, the registered course.
So her own registration for that training cycle for January to March 2026 does confirm the position that Chief Mapie assumed then in July 2024 that in fact she doesn't have it. She wouldn't have to do it twice.
Correct. She doesn't have the qualification. And this course itself, because SAPS is an assessment body, they set cycles because it's a national curriculum for all Metro Police officers to do it. So SAPS sets cycles where it will start. So the next cycle that starts is January. The current cycle is September to November. The next cycle is January to March is the next cycle.
To your knowledge, is she in this position that Chief Mapie concluded she was not qualified for as we speak?
Correct. She's still not qualified.
Okay. Chair.
Aren't we almost there?
Oh, in fact, I was going to propose that we push to finish so that
Thank you.
I'm happy to.
Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner, yes. Commissioner, can you please make me understand RS 29? Because reading your affidavit in paragraph 73, I get the impression that you say that RS 29 shows us that Ms. Jogazi crafted her own interview questions, sent, and in fact emails, I think, to Ms. Ntombi Radebe. I've looked at RS 29, I can't quite follow what's on there.
Chair, may I step in? When we got to this portion of the evidence, I indicated the shortcoming in RS 29 to the commissioner, and I stated that the actual question and answer document that he references and he suggested that paragraph was exchanged between Ms. Jogazi and Ms. Radebe is actually not part of this annexure that he gave. He only, he only provided as an annexure the emails and not the document attached. So that is the flaw in annexure RS 29.
Commissioners, I
yes.
have, so in this, the printouts that goes.
Thank you, Ms. Ndalo.
On page 337 is actually the one email we've just put on top of one another to show that there was two dates. The one is 26 June and the other is 6 July. But I have in my own annexures, I have the documents which we can print and provide. If we have a break for a few minutes, I can provide it immediately thereafter. It's the actual, it's the attachments also print out because it's doc 1 and doc GRP1 and GRP2.docx.
And I would agree it's an important document to have to appreciate annexure RS 29.
Yes, I would suggest that we should not take a break, but that rather the commissioner should furnish the documents to you and you should then furnish them to us. It is only if when we go through those documents there are issues that we may perhaps require the Commissioner to come back, which I think is unlikely. Perhaps what we could do as an alternative is that after we've taken the lunch adjournment, the Commissioner can then avail the documents and then come back in for just 1 minute or less to just confirm that those are indeed the documents.
And then perhaps if we are going to do it that way, Chair, he has the document before him right now.
Yes.
He could perhaps just give an example of the question and answer session, question and answer that the lady prepared for herself. And then after lunch, he steps in just to confirm that this is the document and we update the files. So we don't have to deal with the content of that document after lunch. Or you
Let's just get the documents when we come back,
Okay.
and then we are by no means suggesting that we should then go through the documents.
It's because
They
he
should
too has
just-
got.
They should just be given to us, and we are then directed to where they are in the exhibit bundle, and then you take the Commissioner there, and
Okay.
he just identifies the documents. As I said, that will take a minute or two.
That's fine. May I inquire from Commissioner Spies? He's got some time challenges. Would he be able to come back at 2 o'clock just to confirm to the Commission that the document that you would have provided us with and would have updated the files is indeed the RS-29 you intended to include in the file? Would you be able to?
Sorry, Commissioners, I didn't inform Advocate Silo that because of today I was involved, supposed to be in another arbitration as a witness, and during last night it was postponed. So even though I said 2 o'clock this afternoon, they said, no, let us rather postpone. So
Okay.
I am available, but it will impact on the flow of the rest of the afternoon and the other witnesses, but I am available for the whole day.
No, that's fine. That takes care of the challenge. I'm good. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Then we will park RS-29 and you'll come and confirm after lunch, after the files are updated. That would then take us to our paragraph 77. At page 70, that's where you deal with Brigadier Mkwanazi's own appointment in the role of acting head of department HOD Community Safety on the 1st of December.
In the city...
Maybe before you do that,
Sorry,
can we
please.
just confirm at that page 391, that letter from Chief Mapia, do you know if he ever received a response from Ms. Kasheka?
No, I don't know if he received any response from her.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd referred you to your paragraph 77. You deal with Brigadier Mkwanazi's new appointment and the fact that the result is that he holds 2 separate and distinct statutory positions. Just very quickly, what do you, the reference there?
The city created a new structure called Community Safety, of which Metro Police has now been subverted to a division within the Community Safety, and obviously not reporting directly to the city manager and accountable to her anymore. However, this was approved in November. What then happened in December is that Commissioner Mkwanazi was always appointed while Chief Mapia was on suspension. He was appointed every month on a month-to-month basis as the Chief of Police, compliant with the law. However, in the 1st of December, he was appointed as the acting head of community safety. And there was no appointment made of any chief of the police. He was the head of community safety. And he received an appointment letter from then to even to date. Well, I don't know what's happening exactly now, but till February when I left, he was appointed as the head of community safety. and no one was appointed as the acting chief of police. So he effectively occupied two different distinct statutory levels, and there's no chief of police. Now, if there's no chief of police appointed, because you cannot be appointed to act in two different positions yourself, and you cannot appoint yourself to act as something like that. But he kept on signing, and he kept on saying he's the chief of police. And this is, to me, it is vicarious liability effects when the SAPS Act section 13.8, for instance, when you have a roadblock, it must be approved by the chief of police to halt the roadblock. Now, there's a difference between a roadblock and a layway and when you stop and do law enforcement in the Road Traffic Act, stopping vehicles for speeding or stopping vehicles for checking for defects. A roadblock is fully fledged where you stop vehicles, you search vehicles because you're looking for a specific crime or something. So all the section 13.8 is signed off, must be signed in terms of the law by the chief of police. And Commissioner Mkwanazi was appointed by the then city manager to the position of HOD Community Safety. And there was no subsequent chief of police. To date, there can be no record found of any acting chief of police where he was appointed. It was only lately when, because of the national meetings, there were other officers like Brigadier Okkert Besuidenhout arrived with an appointment letter as the acting chief of police at the last Chiefs Forum meeting. So that is just what I'm mentioning in this, is that there's no formal chief of police appointed, but there's an acting head of community safety appointed.
Okay.
If I may ask, Commissioner, what do you attribute that to? Is it just incompetence, lack of understanding of the significance of the different roles and why there should be an acting police chief, or there's other motives?
Commissioner, I think it's incompetence, and it's a fact of don't understand the legislation around it at all. Don't understand Section 64, don't understand the role of municipal police service in terms of the Constitution and in terms of the SAPS Act, that the Act gives definitive powers to a chief of police, and the Act expects that those processes must be followed 100% correctly.
Is it possible that the official appointment exists, but you just have not seen it? Well, I mean, why else would he sign, give instructions and directives, and say he's chief of police, acting chief of police, if there's no official appointment?
Commissioner, in everything in the department, if you are appointed as an acting, your acting letter is immediately distributed to all sections. The reason for that is that anything, if you make an order out, if you procure something, the delegations and the MFMA Act states that whoever signs for goods delivered or goods that must be paid, your appointment letter must be attached, and there's certain levels of authority of monetary value where there's a signature delegation who can sign for what. So when the chief of police signs anything as the chief of police, his signature and his acting letter will be attached to that. So to every procurement, to everything that he does, the acting letter is the HOD community safety attached. There's nowhere in existence. We've tried to find it when I was still there. We tried to find it, but we could never find it that he's an acting chief of police. Only the acting HOD.
If that is correct, how come nobody has objected to his directives and instructions to say, you can issue this directive because you
The majority of the department lives in fear, and they're afraid of him and his criminal group of officers around him. They will not object.
So you're saying he has appointed himself as acting chief of police?
Correct, because he's the HOD, he made himself out. I don't think there's an appointment letter, but he made himself out as the acting chief because he signed directives and he signed letters, but there's no formal letter where he's appointed as the acting chief of police. He's appointed as on an acting letter as the acting HOD of community safety.
Yeah, but you see, Commissioner, I can understand you saying people within EMPD are fearful or are scared of him, but surely you cannot say the council and the mayor are scared of him, and if they are told that he's acting as chief of police without authorization, they won't do anything.
The council and at the higher levels doesn't get involved in this, Commissioner. It's a administrative practice. It's from my opinion that this is illegal process that's being followed. Surrounding this, there's more illegalities. I went on leave, for instance, in 2024. My position in November has been abolished. It doesn't exist on the structure anymore. I'm now contractual to incumbent, sitting on the sideline from December 24. However, when I went on leave, this Stella Cikizwa was appointed to act, and she got even an acting allowance claim against my position, which doesn't exist. When I resigned in February and I went retired, that post doesn't exist at all now anymore in council. Stella Cikizwa was acting in that position and she got paid acting allowances. So there's things that the upper level doesn't know what's happening, but it is happening on the ground level.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just to understand then, who must the Commission turn to determine whether or not Commissioner Mkhwanazi was duly appointed to this contentious post? Is it the City Manager's Office? Is it the HOD Department through Mr. Kashaka? Where do you suggest we turn to answer that questions, or the questions Commissioner Khumalo had definitively?
The City Manager's Office is the accounting officer.
That's the accounting officer. And who would effect the acting appointment? Would it be the City Manager?
No, the City Manager would only appoint the acting head of departments. The then head of departments would appoint the subsequent actings in their own departments. So effectively, if Julius Mkhwanazi was appointed as the acting head of community safety,
yes,
he would then have the power to appoint someone as the acting chief of police for that same period.
And I'm saying it's the City Manager who would have appointed him in turn as an acting head of department.
Of community safety, yes. She did.
Okay.
Commissioner, just so that we understand, you said something that now confuses me. In terms of structure, where does acting head of department, community safety, sit in relation to the chief of police position?
From the 1st of December, the Metro Police Department ceased to exist. The Fire Department, Disaster Emergency Service Department ceased to exist, and a new department with the name of Community Service was established. This Community Safety Department was established. In this department, there is a division, Municipal Police, where the Chief of Police will be, and there's a division, Emergency Services or Fire, where the head of, say, Emergency Services would be. And there's other divisions as well that's been created. So a whole new structure has been created, and the Metro Police, that was actually a department accountable to the City Manager initially, was now removed and became a division under the head of Community Safety.
So in this new structure, if Chief Mapie were to return to work tomorrow as Chief of Police, he would now report to...
He's now demoted to a divisional head.
And he now reports to Commissioner Mkhwanazi as acting head of community safety. I'm just trying to understand the structure.
That is what would happen, but Commissioner Mkhwanazi would not be, well, he shouldn't be appointed then as the acting head of community safety. It should be between Chief Mapie or Mr. Makubela, who's from the fire services, that will rotate between the two of them, because they the highest senior positions. That's what should happen.
Yes. So what I'm proposing to you is, as things are happening now, let's say that Commissioner Mkhwanazi, now acting in that position, if he's made permanent at the end of today, so as at the end of today, he's head of department, community safety. And then tomorrow, Chief of Police Mapie goes back to work.
He will have to report to Commissioner Mkhwanazi as a civilian head of department.
Yes, I understand now. Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Commissioner. So effectively, the post of Chief of Police still exists, you say?
Correct.
Even under the new structure?
Correct.
Except now that Chief of Police now reports to the head of community safety?
Correct.
And not to the City Manager as contemplated in Section 64C of the
Correct,
subset?
Commissioners.
Okay. Then we quickly deal with your own retirement, which you start with from paragraph 79, and your suspension. from the department?
Correct. Obviously, I turned 60 in November 2024, and our official retirement age could be, for age-wise, is 65. But I was appointed as a Section 56 employee, which, in terms of the Act, means that I'm a fixed-term, 5-year performance-based contract employee, and I was appointed in 1 August 2022, which will then run till 2027. However, because of all this victimization and ostracization that happened in the department, when I turned 60, myself and my family had a serious discussion about it to state that I would rather take early retirement, look if you can afford it, let me take early retirement, and I'm going to have mental health issues and heart attack if I carry on in this manner, because all of this criminality around me is directly against my DNA of being a policeman, and I cannot cope with nothing being done in the city, and it's clear the city is on a path of destruction, and I don't want to be part of this at all anymore. So I then, to make sure that I don't lose anything, I aligned my retirement with a SARS tax year, personal tax year, which is 28 February, so that I don't pay extra taxes or anything. And my broker also advised me that the best date is 28 February that I must retire with. My contract that I have with the city states that I must give 2 months notice as well. It's not the normal, because I'm a Section 56 employee. So in December, I then took annual leave to make sure that my leave is also depleted, so that I don't have extra tax implications at the end of that period. I returned to the office on the 6th of January, and the moment I walked into the office, I immediately started the process of retirement. I concluded, so we have a complete process of exit clearance forms, handing back equipment, firearms, uniform, laptops, anything that I must do. So I started that process on the 6th of January already. Fully handed everything back, and then submitted my application. I couldn't get hold of the acting, who I then believed was the acting chief of police, Mkonasi. But on the 7th, we had a meeting where he called us to a meeting in Alberton. And when we sat at that meeting, I gave him my application to say, I hereby resign, I'm taking early retirement. And he then looked at it and he signed off on everything on the 7th of January. On the 8th of January, I submitted it to the corporate HR officers, and they processed it. And the same afternoon, they sent it back to me to say, everything's captured. You can your retirement is concluded. You can actually deal now with the medical aid and with your new employer, which is Sanlam or Sanlam. In my case, is that there's contracts and everything that must be signed with them, and I must provide proof to the pay office for conclusion of my retirement. That was all completed in that first 2 weeks of January.
Before you move off that point, you have Annexure 33 about the approval for your retirement, Annexure RS 33 starting at page 393. You have a document there, termed termination of service, and then next over leaf at 394 is employee exit clearance certificate. The first document at 393 provides your particulars and requires an indication of the reason for termination of service, and you confirm that you have, it's ticked retirement and above retirement in a manuscript written early in red. Do you see that?
Correct. That is the formal termination contract, and this is what I received back from HR.
Okay. If you go further down, it's got under the heading future contact information signatories, it's got the employee's signature, provision for the employee's signature. Is that your signature appearing there?
Correct, Commissioners.
Do you know who has signed as supervisor and head of department, respectively?
It's Commissioner Mkonasi right in front of me. He signed it when I gave the form to him.
And if we go over leaflet 394, that is the employee exit clearance certificate. It deals with a number of issues, but I'm interested in after item 10. Below item 10, the left part requires a signature by the employee to confirm that they consent to monies due from them to the municipality, I think, to be deducted. You see that?
Correct.
It appears that you signed. I'm more interested in the right-hand side one, where it says, it is hereby confirmed that all signatures above have been obtained. Officials last working day, and it's denoted as 28 February 25. And there's a signature there, a name, J.D. Mkwanazi. Is that what is written there?
Correct, Commissioner.
And signed, provides an employee number and dates it the 8th of January 2025.
That's the date he signed, that's correct.
And you say this is when your early retirement was approved by Commissioner Mkwanazi?
Correct.
Okay. And thereafter it was just issue of dealing with various admin issues.
Yes, and if we go back to page 393, you will see at the top portions where it starts with tables, full name, surname, ID number, department, post designation, and then next to post designation, pay office, it says section 56, 57. And then the stamp in the middle of that page, it says to be processed on the section 57 payroll, and where the reason for termination, it says 60 years with a tick mark and early retirement. So it was as per my retirement that it is an early retirement, and I'm a section 57, 56 employee, and I have to give 2 months notice in terms of my contract.
So then after Commissioner Mkwanazi approved your retirement from the 8th of January 2025, you have another date in your document, in your statement at paragraph 81, the 5th of February 2025, and now this relates to a suspension notice. Can you reconcile the two for us quickly, please?
Correct. It is not mentioned here, but on the 27th of January, there was an incident that took place at work where Commissioner Mapeye there was discipline steps taken against Commissioner Mapeye, and he's being suspended for those disciplinary steps. On the 27th of January, I was contacted by Commissioner Mapeye's legal representative, Mrs. Erika Bester. And in this process, she asked me if I can confirm a specific vehicle registration number if it belongs to the city. Now, that's part of my job. Everyone asked me that, and that. So I confirmed to her, yes, I can confirm. Let me just find out everything about the vehicle, and then I will come back to you about it as well. I sent an email to Colonel Bloemhoff, which she then forwarded to the fleet section, and she posted it on WhatsApps to everyone. And middle of the day, Sarah Chita sent an email to say that I victimized her, and she sent it to the city manager and to Mkwanazi. And I'm victimizing her because I'm looking at her cars. I didn't even know whose vehicle it was. And then I was in a meeting during that morning. I didn't see this email flurry. Middle of the afternoon, I answered it back to everyone, and I say, I'm not busy with the investigation. I was requested by a lawyer to confirm if a vehicle belonged to the city. And this is what I'm doing. I'm checking if this vehicle is our vehicle of the city at all. And then I got contacted by Advocate Buyerski. He sent me an email, and he introduced himself to say he's the evidence leader in the chief's case, and he wants to speak to me. He wants to have a meeting. I then referred to him and said to him, I'm busy at the moment, but we can meet after hours in the evening via Teams, and he can set up a Teams meeting. That evening at 7 o'clock, we had a Teams meeting regarding it. Now, the dates is important here because it's the 27th February where it is. I had then an hour-long or 54 minutes conversation with Advocate Buyerski, which he was extremely rude towards me. And I informed him numerous times that I've been approached to testify as a witness on behalf of the chief. He was extremely unprofessional. I have that recording. We can play that recording. But he was explaining very, very personal information about Chief Mapeye and what's happening in his case. And he explained the whole case to me, and he put scenarios to me. What will I do, and what am I going to do here? And I said, I don't want to speak to you. I told you that I am a witness for Chief Mapeye. And eventually I stopped the conversation. I said, I'm not listening further to you at all. And then that's a weekend happened. And then on the 5th of February, I was at corporate HR in Benoni because I was approached to testify as the employer in another arbitration case that I must represent the employer. And at that meeting where I was then phoned by Dion Singh, who's this brigadier that's been promoted, part of this promotion group last year. I was phoned by him, and he stated, where am I? And I said, well, I'm at HR, here at this office. He then came there, and he's in front of Tommy Zambé. He said to me, here's a letter for you. I looked at the letter, and this letter is a pre-suspension letter to say we're hereby going to pre-suspend you, give reasons why you shouldn't be suspended, and it carry on with things like that with a trumped-up charge of that I have appointed a service provider for a back office system. And then at the bottom it ends with a paragraph. So this is a pre-suspension. I must now give reasons, and then at the bottom it ends, and due to the reasons listed, we hereby suspend you with immediate effect. And I accepted the letter, and then he said to me, where's your laptop, where's your office keys? I'm in civis suit at that moment in time, and I said to him, well, as you know, I'm going on pension on this 8th of January. Everything was already handed in. I don't have anything. It's with the office. It's at stores. And I gave him my office keys. I took it off my normal keys and I gave him my office keys. And he says, I'm not allowed to be on the council premises anymore. So I left the HR office where I was busy in prep for the arbitration case. I left the office then and I went home, contacted my advocate to assist me, to say that I was just prepared because they're doing the wrong things. It's irregular, the manner that they're dealing with this now, and I don't know where this comes from suddenly because it's an absolute fabricated lie. The 2 days...
Commissioner, apologies, before you move, you deal with the suspension at paragraph 81, just to get things clear in my head. By the 8th of January, your early retirement, effective from the 28th of February, 2025, had been approved by Commissioner Mkwanazi, correct? That's what Annexure RS 33 tells us.
Correct.
Now, in this paragraph, you say you were formally suspended from 10 February to 9th of May 2025. 9th of May is way beyond your retirement date. How do we understand that?
Commissioner, so after I've submitted my reply to them to say, but here's my contract, here's the clauses, here's the process that must be followed according to the Government Gazette, you followed the incorrect process, retract my suspension. Then the 9th of May, the 9th of February, they actually served me then with a formal suspension letter. Exactly the same as the previous one, as if it's a template. Just now the clauses, it had clauses in which, if it wasn't, it is so funny when you read this, how the incompetence run in this department, is that now it states that I may not leave the city or the province unless I ask Mkwanazi for permission. And it states the dates from 10 February, with my last working date, 28 February, officially, already approved more than a month ago already. It states I may not leave the province, I may not leave the city until the 10th of May. And so now as a pensioner, I must also ask my ex-criminal for permission to actually leave the province. And if I'm not at home, I must have permission from him for that. So I immediately declared a dispute. This dispute was set down for the 28th of February. My last working day was ended in a dispute resolution. So as we walked into the dispute with the presiding officer and that, the council sent a representative, Mr. Giligidi. And I explained my position and submitted the evidence here. And as he turned to Mr. Giligidi, it was said, his words were, Council, can we please go off record? And the commissioner presiding it says, why off record? What is your answer? He said, no, I was instructed to have no mandate to speak on this matter. So the conciliation certificate was immediately issued. That matter is still in conciliation, or not conciliation, in arbitration. It's been postponed numerous times because of the council and that doesn't arrive, or there's always reasons why they don't arrive, or submit documents very late. It's now set obviously for this week, Wednesday and Thursday, when we will go back into the arbitration process.
Okay. At paragraph 82, you list, I think I can just highlight that subsequent to your retirement and or suspension, or even before that, see, a number of people have been suspended within the EMPD, and these include Commissioner Mapieye, Mr. Niza, Kenel Tepa, Ms. Lizel Tyers, and then yourself. So technically, there just seems to be a lot of suspensions within the EMPD.
There's a pattern of anyone that was involved with Mkwanazi or Singh, all of them have been either dismissed or suspended or victimized very seriously.
Now, you end this with paragraphs 83 to 85 to 86, where you specifically reference what your own partner, who's in the department, has been subjected to, considering that we are seriously eating into the commissioner's lunch. Can you just succinctly summarize the challenges you say that your partner is confronted with currently?
So obviously I left them on the 28th of February and I'm now a retired Ekurhuleni Metro Police officer. But my wife stayed behind, or my life partner. She's in the logistics section where she is there. So after my retirement and cessation, this Julius Mkonasi, Dion Singh and Hanif Persad, they started to do illegal investigations as if they're policemen, and they do illegal stuff and they threaten people. And it starts to target my wife as well, because what they do is they've moved people with no qualifications, no finance whatsoever. Ezekiel Naiker, they moved him as a superintendent there. Sarah Chita, who's involved with the chief, they moved her as an inspector. She was also irregularly appointed in 2024 as part of a bunch of the post where she was appointed as inspector is Inspector Internal Affairs. It wasn't even advertised. Mkonasi just appointed her into that position. It's as if it was a reward because she would testify against Commissioner Mapie. So they were all, together with Antoinette Messenia, they placed in charge of where my wife is actually working. This Naiker would then go, he would actually start targeting her to say to her, she must explain to him what she's doing in that section. So she would send him an email to say, I do vehicle inspections, it's been assigned, my job in this section is to do the vehicle inspections or do the firearm inspections. I work at the asset store where I hand out the assets. So she explains everything to him. After she explains everything to him, he starts with a process where he removes that access to say, no, you're not doing the vehicle inspections anymore. And Nayopiri would do the vehicle inspections. Or no, you're not doing this inspections anymore. Someone else would do this inspections. So within a week's period, they took everything that she was doing, they took it away from her via emails. And then the next week, Monday, they'd ask her again, so what you doing now? And she explained then her history to say, well, this is my task I've always been appointed to do, but now you've obviously changed everything that I've been doing. Within seconds after she sent this reply, this Naiker sent her email to say, please hand in your laptop, your biometric access cards, everything, and report to uniform stores. So she's now, as a police constable that's in charge of assets and managing the assets section, she's been moved to the uniform store to report to a civilian clerk, where she's now a packer. She packs uniform. As soon as this happened, Brigadier van der Merwe gets falsely arrested, and that case is still running in court. And the rumor with all of these people around them is stating that, and even from the South African Police Service, that they're going to arrest my wife on trumped-up charges as well. So she goes to the office in uniform when this is spread to say now she's going to be arrested. She informed her supervisor to say, I would prefer that you don't arrest me in uniform. I'm going home to get dressed in civilian clothes, and then you can proceed with whatever falseness that you want to do. I obtained in the meantime counsel to say I need to urgently make provision that if my wife is arrested, that we can immediately deal with it. And then she went to the doctor and she saw a psychiatrist, and she was booked off sick for a period of 5 months now. She's dealing with it through a professional psychiatrist, but also with EAP at the work itself, where she sees EAP. She ran out of sick leave, and she then starts a process where she applies for extra sick leave that the council can give her, and there's a process where the supervisors must sign. She's lodged the grievance against them as well for this. That grievance to date has never complied, has never been it's never been heard at all. And then when she lodged this application for extra sick leave with all the documents, even, and it's a sick matter, it's not necessary that she divulge her medical condition, but she did, and she gave the forms. When it hit the acting chief of police, he turned around and says he's not going to sign it if her supervisors, which is this Naiker and Sarah Chita and Messenia, has not signed off on it. So eventually the chief of staff then convinced him and said, just sign it that it can please go to the pay office. At the end of October, suddenly she wasn't paid. So no payment. And it's at the moment where we sit, it's limited if we know if she will be paid even at this end of the month. She returned to work on the 1st of November. And the very first day when she's back at the office, idiotic small little victimization needles start to happen again. we sign on duty, for instance, or they sign on duty in an OB as normal. It's a precinct where you sign on. And she signed on and she arrives at work. Her office hours is from 7 to 3. So she arrived at 20 to 7 because she was early. She wrote an entry into the OB, and the OB is written in time order. You cannot change orders. So at 6:20, she writes on the time and says 6:40, reporting on duty for 7 o'clock, and she signed it. Her supervisor, this Nike, came and he scratched out with a red pen her time, and he fraudulently changed the OB, right 7 o'clock there, and he then make an entry to say Constable Jacobs must correct the correct time. She signs on at 7, not before the time. And even though our standing orders in Ekurhuleni state that you come on duty before the time, you don't arrive with it. If your time is 7 o'clock, that means you must be 15 minutes before the time already on parade. And you cannot just arrive and start on that. So her vehicle, for instance, she was issued with a patrol vehicle. 2-3 years ago, the patrol vehicle was taken away from her. To date, she doesn't have a patrol vehicle. She used my private vehicle to travel and do all her official patrol vehicles if she has to go to Germiston or anywhere to deliver documents. And so it's an absolute nightmare how they victimize her and then anyone else who supported Chief Mapie. The group of people that's left there is acting, and the word is rogue. It's a criminal enterprise, what is running in that specific department.
Thank you. I think the commissioners have a good sense of what you say as victimization that your life partner has had to endure within the EMPD environment, flowing from the discharge of your own duties while you are still with EMPD. Are there any concluding remarks you would like to make to the commission as we have come to the end of your testimony now?
There is, because I stated earlier as well, is a very few of the civilian people know that I've retired, because I obviously didn't announce it or anything. There was no farewell party or anything like that. So a lot of the people that used to deal with me still think I work for Ekurhuleni Metro Police, and they still contact me and they still inform me of, or they have a problem with their payment of invoices or things like that. And so a lot of the matters still come to my attention, even though I don't work for them anymore. For instance, this Ezekiel Naiker, he originally negligently lost a firearm. And it was then decided that there will not be a firearm issued to him. However, after I've resigned, Commissioner Mkonazi forced them to issue a firearm to him as well. He has lost that firearm negligently as well. There's a CAS number at Bedford View, 26705-2025 of negligent loss of firearm. No disciplinary steps has been taken against this officer. The rumors that I hear from everyone else is he's protected. You cannot touch him because he is there, but he's directly in charge of placed in charge of my wife. The people have sent me invoices where the uniform tender, for instance, was awarded by Sarah Chita and then was adjudicating it. This uniform tender, historically there's manufacturers who's situated in the Cape and here in Gauteng who manufacture our uniforms. For instance, FG or RADS, it's large companies who are manufacturers. The latest uniform tender, which was adjudicated by Sarah Chita and them, has been awarded to electrical contractors who doesn't have any experience. And which is so funny is that they actually buy it from the manufacturers at inflated prices. Our radio accessories has been batteries for our radios and other accessories has been bought from a third party to the original company that provided to us originally at 4 times the price that it actually is being sold to us. The same goes for our breathalyzers, handheld breathalyzers, the calibration of it. That went to, the calibration must be done by the OEM, the supplier. However, it went to a third party who took it to the supplier to say, can you please calibrate this? And the supplier phoned me to say, Commissioner Spies, your breathalyzers came from how did your breathalyzers end up with this person? It came from that. And I'm like, no, I'm not working there anymore. But send me, I will send it on so that people can do inquiries. So there's genuinely a move to weaponize the Metro Police against anyone who wants to be honest, who wants to make this work. And there's a criminal enterprise that has been operating for the last 3 to 4 years in the department.